Welcome to the One Speed MMA podcast with yours truly, Flying Smitty.
And Carson Wood.
We're filming for the first time. Here I am looking at it, but I'm also trying to figure out the recording. So we might be back on YouTube soon.
We're doing it?
I'm going to try.
Let's do it.
This camera may not work. We'll see when we render it on there. It's supposed to be 1080p, but from what I can see, it doesn't really look like it.
I don't have an eye for that. I can't tell.
You have an iPhone for that.
We tried to watch some movies in 4K. I can't tell.
I just got a 4K TV, and going from my old TV that we got when we were first married at like 5 years ago to the newest TVs, there's a huge difference.
Well, I'm just comparing it to watching
HD.
Yeah, an HD on the same TV, Paul's TV downstairs, and then we just switch over to the Xbox One X or S or whatever the hell it's called, and then his 4K, and then we get the ultra high definitions. I can't tell a difference unless it's John Wick.
Yeah,
I can tell a difference in John Wick too.
What did I just watch the other day? If you watch like the Animal Planet ones, those are supposed to be pretty, like, you can tell a huge difference between those.
You know what's way awesome? 3D on my TV, only if you're watching golf. Golf is amazing in 3D.
You have a 3D television?
Yeah.
When did you get a 3D television?
It's one I've had forever.
How did I not know you had a 3D television?
I don't know.
And why golf? Because when they hit it.
No, you can't even tell when they hit it, but just seeing because I don't like the stuff that's gimmicky that shoots stuff at you, but the depth and like you could see the fairway.
That's how they do it, right? The 3D TVs go in, not out, right? And that's what makes it 3D.
I think they can do both, like because they can do if you watch the super high action, like if you were to put probably like a Fast and the Furious on it, they're gonna throw stuff at your face the whole freaking movie.
Like Family.
Family, yes. Prometheus was also good in 3D.
I forgot my computer because that's over there. I feel like kind of naked.
I know. I didn't bring mine either because it was dead when I was gonna when I started heading over, and then I was gonna go back for it. But there's a ton of fog, and the roads are terrible.
You can never go back.
You can't.
Never.
Nope.
Turn into a pile of salt. Did you watch Chicago this weekend?
No.
I did.
How was it?
It was really, really good, actually.
I saw the submission.
Did you watch Maurice's knee?
Yes, because you sent it to me.
That was kind of an accidental knee because he was going for a high kick and he just happened to kind of catch him on the way down. So it did look like he adjusted his body a little bit and clipped him as he came in. That was really, really impressive. That's kind of what everyone expected from Maurice when he came in. And then I think he lost his first fight or first two fights in the UFC.
We need to have Danny back on. We didn't talk about the card before then either.
Mm-mm.
Did we?
Yeah. No, we took another week off.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We need to get Danny on. Just talk all sorts of heat on Brazil because he was telling me how they were gonna get their belts back.
Aldo lost pretty handedly to Holloway the first time. I said that he could potentially adjust, and it really depended whether or not he had lost his speed. He's definitely lost his speed. Jose Aldo has lost a step.
Well, and I was telling him because they were like super amped after the first two rounds, and I'm like, am I the only one? Like, it's clear that Max Holloway's trying to make him gas.
Oh yeah,
like he wasn't throwing huge bombs, and he kept baiting Jose to do it, which is still pretty scary to do against a guy like Jose. But like, that was more impressive to me than the first one.
Oh, by far. Jose Aldo seemed like he had much more of a chance in the first one than in this one.
I feel like he had more of a chance in this one. I thought he was actually, the first round was pretty decent. The second round I thought was actually better for Jose, but the first one you could go either way with it in my opinion. But the second round was clearly, I feel like, Aldo's, and then Holloway just laid it on at the end of the third. It's crazy.
From what I can remember in the fight, I think going into it, I thought Holloway was going to win, so it's probably bias.
Mm-hmm.
And you watching it with a bunch of Brazilians that were like, oh, Jose Aldo looks great, also probably swayed a little bit. It was probably somewhere in the middle, but I thought Max Holloway looked way more dominant in this fight than he did in the first fight between the two of them. But it is what it is.
All three Brazilians lost.
It is what it is. Who are the other ones? Jose Aldo.
Yancy Medeiros beat Oliveira, and then somebody else beat another Oliveira, beat Cowboy. No, Yancy Medeiros beat Cowboy.
Yeah, I bet I won that money on that fight.
And then that was an amazing fight.
That was a good
so
one.
good. And then who's the other one? It was the other Oliveira, but I can't think of who won.
Charles Oliveira, Paul Felder just crushed him.
Well, they were both losing.
Felder
Felder got destroyed in the first round. Destroyed. He almost got put in every submission possible. Like if there's a 10-8 jiu-jitsu round,
he ended on top.
If there's a 10-8 jiu-jitsu round, that's it. Because he almost had him in like every submission possible.
I thought that was a first round finish.
No. Mm-mm. He came back in the second, and he just started. He hit him with that elbow. He ended up tapping, and then he hit him with like I think 4 more.
I must not have watched that first round because when I watched it, I just thought that Paul Felder was absolutely dominant from start to finish.
No. He got dominated the first round. He looked out of his element. Like he looked like there was a couple times when he got out of it and he kind of got right back into it. And I mean,
round 2,
Oliveira was on his back for some of it, but like that's where he wanted to be, and he never looked like he was losing the fight. There's a couple times he got hit, but like again, if you can do a jiu-jitsu round where it's a 10-8 round, that's like the best case for it in my opinion.
Yeah, I must not have watched that first round because I remember looking back at the TV and having Paul Felder on top of Oliveira and just raining down elbows because I hedged my bet. I bet on Oliveira to win, but I put Felder in my parlay because I did all favorites. And then I bet Yancy, and I won money on Yancy because I figured he would weather the storm and come back and win that, and he did. And Cowboy Oliveira looked good in that fight. I was confused by this picture. Jose Aldo's still in it with Ricardo Lamas. I was like, did they bring him back after getting knocked out like 2 weeks later? Obviously not, but yeah, I got really confused. Yeah, no, so Paul Felder and the Holloway fight, I thought Holloway, it was pretty close. I would have given it a 10-9 with the new scoring rules to Holloway.
They didn't use they used the old scoring rules.
Yeah, so it was probably pretty close. No, yeah, so a 10-9. Either way, it would have been a 10-9, I think. It wouldn't have been a 10-8 to me.
For what?
For the new scoring rules.
On what?
The first round.
Of which
of
fight?
Jose Aldo.
Oh, okay. I don't think it'd be a 10-8 at all for either of them. I thought it was pretty close.
Well, on the new rules, there was supposed to be more 10-8s. That's what I was wondering.
I don't think there was any case for that to be a 10-8, in my opinion.
Why can't I find any of the past events? I'm having a hard time on the UFC website.
What are you looking for?
Just where if
Just
I was,
pull it up on Wikipedia.
If I was on my website, yeah, but I don't remember what card it was. See?
218? Who knows? But no, that was one of the better cards I had seen in a long time. I wish I could have enjoyed it more because I was pretty much just curled up in my bed watching it on my laptop.
218. Dude, we forgot the freaking Francis Ngannou
fight.
Yeah. Alistair Overeem. They're saying that's the #1 knockout of the year right now, where he put him basically off of his feet.
Did you see that where they put the Apple headphones in it? His head going back, looking like he's dancing, and how they don't fall out. But
those earbuds, you can't knock those out of an ear. That fight's actually official now. Francis Ngannou versus Stipe at like UFC 222 in February, something like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm into it.
It's gonna be exciting, man.
The thing that surprised me more than anything is you could tell Alistair he had a game plan, something that they worked on in camp because he's Winklejohn, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had something planned. They were going to do one of the old getting the arms heavy so that they couldn't strike. He engaged him immediately, clinched up, tried to put him up against the fence, and he was just like, no. And he just spun around and he just held him there.
Yeah.
And he kept trying to get out, and he's like, no. He's just so strong, man. He's so strong.
He's an impressive fighter. And I was thinking that was Stipe, that Stipe would most likely try and take him down. I mean, Stipe is a Golden Glove boxer. Like, he's a good striker. But after watching him just destroy Arlovsky, watching him destroy Ngannou, destroy Alistair Overeem clipped Stipe. He went down and ended up recovering and coming back and knocking him out. But if if Overeem's going to clip you, if Ngannou lands that same shot, you're done. You're going night-night.
He doesn't even look like that good of striking. He just needs the one shot, and he's fast enough.
It's that French kickboxing.
He's a French kickboxer.
He's a savant.
He's a savant.
A savant. But I'm very interested in Stipe versus Ngannou. I think that Kane could probably, if anyone could take him down and hold him down, Kane's probably one of the only ones. Stipe's got very high-level wrestling, but I think Ngannou is too strong. And if Curtis Blades, who was like a D1 like wrestler, I believe, couldn't hold him down and ended up being the only one I think that took him to decisions so far, and was a wrestler, he's ready for people to just try and take him down for 3 to 5 rounds and having to prevent that.
After what I saw with Overeem, and I mean Overeem's not like gonna wow you on the ground, but like after what I saw, how he just essentially just held him up against the I don't know if there's anybody that can wrestle him.
Curtis Blades was also like 3 years ago now, maybe even 4 years ago. Maybe.
He's gonna be stronger and better. Like,
no, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. He's gonna have continued to work on his takedown defense and continue to have got better, which is super interesting. This last card, UFC Fresno. The other fight to probably talk about would be Brian Ortega versus Cub Swanson. Swanson came out.
Talked about?
No, we talked about Morose. About the knockout of Aljo. We did bring it up like very, very first.
Okay.
The most impressive thing to me with that is when he was going for the standing guillotine, and he had to readjust his body to get the second grip. Most of the time, that dude must have crazy body strength to be able to re-grip and keep his legs in position and get his arms back in position, because most other people would have just shook him off, especially in the second round when they're sweaty. It was crazy to me. As soon as he went to readjust, I figured Cub was going to throw him right onto his back.
And I think 9 times out of 10, he probably still does throw him off. I feel like that's really, really hard to get. But the fact that he went for it and was able to lock it in, like, that's impressive, man.
He had to. He was getting outstruck significantly. So the first round, he took him down, put him in the anaconda choke. Probably would have got him if the round wouldn't have ended. And then the second round, he knew he had to get hands on him. And as soon as he got hands on him, with 3 minutes remaining, you knew it was going to be a long second round. And it was actually a really short second round because he ended up choking him out immediately. Brian Ortega, who in 2014 openly admitted to using steroids, Drosterone, Tronsterol, whatever the
progesterone.
No, it's like it's what do they call it? Let me just look it up. There's a name for it, and then
I trust somebody more that tells me that they've done steroids than I do somebody that tells me that they've.
Oh yeah.
That you can look at them and be like, I've never done steroids. It's like, from here on out, like I would trust Brian Ortega more.
Well, and he was like, you know what? I was coming into a short notice. It had gotten into my head, and yeah, I totally did. I shouldn't have done it. PEDs. Beep 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 beep. What is the draw? Failed drug tests. Mike Del Torre. Fined. Totally unaware. And Black House. He was training at Black House.
Weird with all the Brazilians.
Drostanolone. Something like that. But it's like an actual steroid. Same guy. Same thing that Kevin Casey fell for, and Kevin Casey was also at Black House. Kind of weird that Anderson Silva is now pinged twice.
We gotta talk to Jordan.
Jordan more or less said that everybody in the entire freaking UFC was on steroids. Mm-hmm. So he kept it pretty classy when talking about Black House, because I think he still loves all those dudes.
Grill him next time.
Yeah. Who's doing it?
Tell us.
Give us names. Give us names. Give us sellers. Yeah, man. UFC Fresno was a really fun time, especially with the Morose fight, with the Ortega fight. Both of those ended out really, really fun. Jason Knight versus Gabriel Benitez. So the only reason this is a big deal is because Jason Knight was number 15, and he was on a tear. This is a kid from Alabama that fought Scoggins, not Scoggins. I think it was the dude with the damage on his chest, and they called it the king of the trailer park, and said if it wasn't in the UFC, it probably would have happened out in front of the Walmart in Alabama next to his house. Like, I mean, he understands, and he's a pretty funny dude. Chaz Skelly. But he just lost Jason Knight just lost to Ricardo Lamas. They kind of threw him in deep. And then Gabriel Benitez was supposed to be his fight where he got back on. No, he's from Mississippi, not Alabama. Where he was supposed to get back on track. And so I made a couple Mississippi versus Mexico jokes. And he ended up getting outpointed by Benitez, who was just kind of a crisper striker. It was a very interesting loss. Eric Anders, Roll Tide, the old Alabama player who is now in the UFC. He fought a dude that looked like Vanderlei Silva's son. So that was interesting. Mark Perez.
I feel bad for that guy.
Benito Lopez won. He was fun. He came from Contender Series, but he shouldn't have won. He won a decision and probably shouldn't have. And those are the only ones worth talking about. But they were worth watching. So if it's on Fight Pass already, there's a couple fights on that card that are actually worth taking a look at. So with that being said,
we're going to get into the next card, or stupid GSP vacating.
Let's do that, actually. So GSP wins 185. His post-fight press conference is basically him saying, I'm not staying at 185. And then it comes out that he's got colitis, right? Something like that. And so he basically has to take more time off. It's said that he may not even come back. So what are your thoughts on all that?
I'm glad that we got him one more time against Bisping, and he took the belt from Bisping. I like that a whole lot. And then also we don't have any more interim belts. I mean, we do, but it's going to be wrapped up here now that we got Rockhold versus Whitaker, and
What do you think about that?
I like it a lot.
You like that more than Gastelum?
Yeah. Make weight for 2 fights consecutively and don't get busted for marijuana. Gastelum doesn't have like the most clean record either. Like, he's still lost. The most recent wins that he's put together have been very impressive, but it's like he's still lost to like Magny, right?
Yeah, he lost to Magny like almost 2 years ago. But then he went on the retirement tour where he beat Belfort and he beat Bisping.
And
I think there was one more, right?
Yeah, no,
he was gonna fight Silva, and then Silva pinned.
No, it was freaking chasing Bin Laden.
Tim Kennedy.
Yeah, there we go.
Tim Kennedy. Yeah, I mean, so
he'll get a shot.
But
He's
the thing
super
is,
young, man. He'll get a shot.
We also don't like Gastelum, so it makes it easier.
I
to
like
be
him a lot.
I don't.
I think he's great. But like, I don't think he's a shoo-in for a fight right now for a title. He beat damn it. Stupid Wikipedia. I don't care about.
So I think No Magny was his last loss, and that was like 4 years ago.
It says he beat Bisping. Lost to Chris Weidman.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot.
No contest with Vitor Belfort.
I forgot he lost to Weidman.
He beat Kennedy, beat Hendricks, lost to Magny, beat Nate Marquardt, lost to Woodley. So, I mean,
he's lost to the best in the division.
Yeah, he's been in 2 different divisions, but
oh yeah, because he was at 170, couldn't make it, and had to go up to 185.
Yeah, like, he's been a 500 fighter recently, like over his last few fights. I mean, and he's been in different weight classes, and that there's been a lot of time between fights, but that's his own fault.
Yeah,
that's not anybody else's fault. So I think we'll see it. I'm excited for him to fight eventually for the title, but I think Rockhold deserves it, and Whitaker needs a fight. Let's get Whitaker fighting.
Yep. Do we know where it's at? I didn't see where it's located.
It's probably listed. I don't know exactly, but
are they gonna do it in New Zealand?
No, I don't think so, because it's coming up in February, so it would have been one that they already have planned, right?
No, I think they announced it with this Whitaker, Australia, Perth, Australia, which is weird that they do it in Australia because Whitaker's. I thought he was from New Zealand. No, he's got to be from Australia. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it in Australia.
He's so close to home. They've done stuff like that before.
Well, Kiwis and Australians don't really like each other. He's definitely Australian. I spoke poorly. We got a card coming up in Canada too. Oh well, before we get to that, man, let's talk other rumors. Conor McGregor versus freaking Manny Pacquiao. Do you think that comes to fruition?
Sure.
Probably only because there's so much money behind it.
Yep.
You think Conor McGregor ever comes back to MMA?
Why would he? There's murderers in those two divisions.
We need to go back to it. The old podcast where I said he's going to fight Jose. He was going to win the title in both divisions. He was going to fight Mayweather, and then he was going to walk away. But he might fight Pacquiao. I meant walk away from like UFC fighting. Because he's going to take way more damage no matter who he fights in MMA than he probably would from Pacquiao in boxing.
He isn't taking it. I don't know about that. He doesn't take a lot of damage because he can get more distance in
MMA.
The Nate fight's really the only one that he took a lot of damage. Mendez took him down, but he usually gets out pretty clean.
Mendez bloodied him.
He usually gets out pretty clean, though, I feel like.
I think in his Holloway fight, he busted his foot. And I think he might have got clipped a couple times in that fight, too. I got to rewatch that fight.
Yeah, I want to go back and watch it.
What else is going on, man, in MMA? There's a lot of weird stuff. Let's check the old MMA Reddit. The old Checks MMA Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know. The GSP, you didn't really say how you felt about it.
If he's got colitis, he needs to go get that taken care of. Who cares about freaking defending a belt that he didn't want to defend to begin with? He just knew he could beat Bisping. And so, I mean, that was what it was. And so, I think he probably would have had one more fight, legitimate fight at 170, and if he would have lost, he probably would have just been done. And so,
Stipe's on Joe Rogan's podcast tomorrow. BT Dubs, just saw that on the Reddit.
Wait, who is?
Stipe.
Oh, I didn't look at it.
I'm actually interested in that. I want to see kind of his breakdown of Ngannou.
Yeah.
Because Stipe is pretty respectful. I feel like he's going to lay it out like, this guy's good, but I'm going to beat him this way, and this way. He believes in himself, but he's pretty respectful. And the thing is like, are you kind of surprised that Ngannou's gets hands on people so easily?
Yeah, he closes distance really well. I think it's because he's faster than most heavyweights. So people don't think he's going to close the distance that quickly.
Yeah, I might have said he was slow at some point, but he's not. He's fast. And to see, because, that was kind of a hard angle to hit. I don't know why I came back to this, but it was kind of a hard angle to hit with Overeem as well. Like, Overeem was ducking. The way that he hit him, like, he was ducking down. He kind of had to adjust to clip him. And it was kind of like a weird hook uppercut that caught him. And I was also going to say...
it was like a weird, like...
Yeah. And...
He swung through him for sure.
Oh, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. We got Frank Trigg.
Oh, yeah.
We got Josh Rosenthal back.
Yeah.
We're going to
talk about those things.
We're going to get Frank Trigg versus Bruce Buffer round 2.
I also tweeted that, and no one bit. I don't know a lot of people know the story about Frank Trigg and
I don't think
Buffer
they do either.
In the elevator.
I put a reference on the subreddit, and nobody said anything about it. And then also just Rosenthal.
Going to jail for something that's now legal in the state that he lives in.
Yep. Keep him away from Gastelum.
Yeah.
And the Diaz brothers.
That's probably where they get it from. He was probably their dealer.
Mm-hmm.
I made a joke that Bruce Buffer is probably not announcing this or not doing the announcing for this card because Frank Trigg's in the ring and they didn't want to fight to break out.
I wanted round 2.
Good for Frank Trigg, though. I didn't think it would be that big of a deal, but Sean, who's a casual fan and won't even show up on our podcast.
To defend Conor not showing up to his sport.
He made mention of it. He texted me and he said, Frank Trigg's roughing the fights? Good for him for
I'm really
careers.
surprised that they gave Rosenthal another shot after getting out of jail. I thought commissions wouldn't touch him.
Yeah, but he didn't technically do anything wrong if you go back.
I'm not saying he did. But like, I'm just surprised that they would even touch it. Like, usually in sports, like OJ was acquitted, but nobody touches that guy with a 10-foot pole, right? Like, even though a
couple strippers on their 10-foot poles.
I don't know if they touch him. I don't know about that.
No, he can't touch them. They can touch him.
Well, I don't think they will, though. But no, like, that's like, I'm not saying he was in the wrong or anything like that. I don't know the case at all. I do not know what happened other than he got 5 years for selling, I think, and doing mass distribution of marijuana in Colorado.
He was in Northern California, and he had a dispensary, or he had a pot farm.
So it was that's all I know about it, right? Like from
Yeah.
what you've told me just now. And I'm not weighing in on that. I'm just surprised that somebody that just got out of the jail, especially with like the comparisons to like boxing being corrupt, that they would let a ref that seems like he's corruptible. Again, not saying that he is. I have no idea. I'm just surprised that commissions would let him back in.
What I think happened was he had a grow farm when it was legal. They deregulated it. He kept the grow farm. They knew he had a grow farm. He got arrested for his grow farm. They re-regulated it. And then he probably got a shorter sentence for good behavior.
I thought he was in Colorado. Are you sure it was in California?
It could have been in Colorado. But two things while you look that up. Frank Trigg is going to be in Risen doing commentary, so apparently he's just everywhere. Maybe he'll do some reffing, and then he'll come out of the ring and do some commentary, and then go back.
Fight Bruce for the announcing spot.
Oh,
that's what we need.
There you go. And fun fact here on Reddit, Robbie Lawler has not attempted a single sub in 30 pro fights in major MMA organizations. Who? Robbie Lawler. 30 pro fights without a submission attempt. Pretty freaking crazy. What else we got here? We're looking through all these things. That's it, man. There's not a whole lot.
It was in Oregon, Sheridan, Oregon. 37 months confinement.
Oh, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, it's federal prison.
Oh, yeah, never mind.
In Sheridan, Oregon.
Well,
he got out 18 months early.
Because now it's legal in Oregon.
And he pled guilty to conspiracy to manufacture, possession with intent to distribute, and distributing marijuana in Oakland, California. Warehouse he owned with an associate found 1,356 marijuana plants and faced 10 years to life in prison, $10 million fine, a minimum of 5 years probation.
Which is crazy because, less than the time that he was in jail, they regulated it in both.
It was pretty
Oregon
quickly
and
after.
California.
That's maybe why I thought that he did it in Colorado, because I think it was almost a few months after that Colorado started getting everything and moving forward.
Oregon was like the year after Colorado, I think. As soon as they made how much money?
You were right. It was in Oakland. He just was in federal prison in Oregon.
That's what it was.
So that's what he was in Oakland.
Yep, I think it may have been it may have been legal and then made illegal and then legalized again, and then
which is shitty.
I mean, that's a lot of things, man. Think about how many people are in jail. I mean, it's all over freaking Twitter where it's like using cannabis before yoga, and it shows some white lady doing yoga, and then you've got people that are like, yeah, my cousin's in jail for 7 years for the same thing, and it's like, oh man, the society that we live in that allows white upper class women to smoke weed whenever they want, yet we put blacks and Hispanics in jail just for using the same thing. But that's a whole different discussion. Where else are we at? Guess who fights this weekend?
My unranked dude.
Your boy, Mike Perry.
Is he punching pumpkins to get ready?
He is punching pumpkins to get ready. He's probably punching a lot of things to get ready.
As long as
Ponzinibbio.
I didn't know he was unranked.
Oh, is he still unranked?
Yeah, he's not ranked.
I thought he was like number 15.
No, he is not.
Oh, damn. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was super surprised. I like this card. I'm going to lay it out there.
Glover Teixeira's back?
Yep.
Jan Blachowicz and Jared Cannonier.
It's a good fight. I think we got Bang Bos on this one, too. He's back already. Didn't he lose his last one, got knocked out?
Bang Bos.
I thought you lost money on that
Josh
one.
Emmett is on this with Ricardo Lamas. I only care about Ricardo Lamas, though. Chad Laprise. Not to be offensive, but does it kind of look like the guy, Chad Laprise, is a little down?
A little bit.
Yeah. Tim Elliott's on here. Tim Elliott was complaining that the ladies that won Tough 26, first Navajo champion, which is actually pretty rad, because the Native American tribes are not very well represented in martial arts, I don't believe.
Not a ton of them.
No, there are not. There's one from way back in the day that was on like the first UFC or the second UFC.
Wasn't the one guy from Payson, wasn't he Native American?
He might have been.
He is all tattooed up, came over from WEC, had the skin discolorations.
Oh, no. He's from Northern California.
He's from Payson.
Actually, he's from Boise.
He's from Payson.
He might be from Payson, but he lived in Boise. And the reason I know that is because Scott, who came over and watched the fights, Chelsea's boss, lived in Boise.
Scott Jorgensen.
Yeah, right? Scott Jorgensen used to come hang out all the time in Boise. Yep, Bang Boss is here versus the Argentinian, Chirico. No, not Argentinian, sorry, the Italian. That'll be an interesting fight. Eric Silva's back. Danny Roberts. Nordin Talib, the Frenchman. The first fight, actually, I don't know why this first fight is not higher up in the card.
Fighting out of Boise.
Yeah.
Born in Utah. Raised in Alaska and Idaho. There it is.
Is he Native American?
It's not telling me. He had vitiligo. That's what it is. That's the diagnosis.
Interesting. And then we got Cyborg the week after that, December 30th.
He's half Japanese and Caucasian.
Oh, we were way off.
Which makes him Alaskan. Ask Scott.
Chris, yeah. Yeah, Scott's a little bit of everything. It depends on what he wants to be that day. Remember when he was going to get a koi, like flying over the Mexican flag or some weird crap like that?
Like a totem pole with a koi, with the Japanese rising sun.
And a Boston Terrier.
And Olmec head.
Oh, Scott.
Boston Terrier, yes. He'd probably be really mad at us for that because he is all those things.
We're on camera.
I know. I'm
well
aware.
He's not any of those things.
He's Mexican.
And then we got Chris Cyborg. Mike Perry, man. Let's talk about that guy again. Can we talk about how everyone hated him when he was like, I'm not your friend, boy, at the weigh-ins to the one bleach blonde Asian dude that he ended up knocking out.
That his corner was being
super racist against.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, slowly by slowly, he kept knocking people out, and people started to be okay with all of his weird, crazy antics and him just being borderline, like, legitimately crazy because he's just really
he's gonna
fun
rob
to
a
watch.
bank.
Yeah.
He's going to pull like a Malkiel Falcao where he gets on house arrest. Something's going to happen with that guy.
Or the other, the Russian fighter that now runs with, like, the Russian mob.
No idea.
And there was actually a UFC fighter that was involved in a bank robbery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was the argument me and Derek got into.
Oh, they're more prone to committing crime, right?
Yeah. But no, yeah, he seems legitimately insane. But he has won 11 fights by knockout, which is also the same amount of fights that he's won.
Period.
Yeah, the only time he's not knocked somebody out, they beat him by decision. Alan Jouban.
We talked about this a ton. He was a pretty man.
He is. We've talked about this on multiple occasions, but I like this fight, and I like watching Perry. His interviews are fun too. Like,
it's such a weird. Well, UFC's not dumb, man. They're putting him in front of the camera a lot. They took him out to Poland. They've been flying him around and putting him in front of the camera.
I want him versus Teal.
Yeah,
I think he gets exposed there because I don't think I think he's crazy, and he'll put his head in somewhere to get knocked out. He'll exchange. And he'll chase knockouts down. If he clips you, you better try to recover, roll out of it, and wrap up because he's coming.
Yeah, Till and Perry are completely different strikers.
Mm-hmm. That's why I like it. I like it a whole lot. But yeah, dude, he's still got Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio's a good fighter.
Ponzinibbio's look good.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those guys that has been the underdog in, I think, or close. Very close in the betting odds for his last couple fights, and he has looked really good. Glover Teixeira's back. His last one was against Jared Cannonier, who's also on this card. He lost to Anthony Johnson, lost to Gustafsson before Gustafsson got injured. But before that, he was doing pretty well. He lost to Phil Davis, but beat OSP, beat Patrick Cummins, beat Rashad Evans, and then lost to Anthony Johnson. He's kind of in a weird limbo. When 4 years ago he was like the next big thing and he was going to come up and win the belt and all these crazy things. Like it's it's pretty crazy to think that now he's kind of where Ryan Bader was, where they're just in, because of that division, they're just in this weird stagnant, like, hey, we're all just going to beat each other and none of us are going to beat DC or John Jones. So it's really, really interesting to me.
Yeah, he's still a good fighter. He's a good striker, but I think he'll be around for a few more years, but I don't think he's ever touching the belt.
No. There's a lot of people. Do you think Gustafsson ever gets the belt back? Not belt back, sorry. Do you think he ever fights and potentially wins the belt? I say belt back because I feel like he beat John Jones, but...
Did you hear what he said recently? Yeah, I guess it was like yesterday. He said that he's looking forward to fighting the real champion, John Jones.
Oh, really? So he's trying to cause problems. Good for him, though. He's got to stay relevant, especially with a busted elbow. It's going to keep him out the next, year or so. I don't think he comes back the same either. His last 2 fights, he hasn't looked that great. He looked all right versus Glover, but, I mean, when he fought Blachowicz was kicking his ass. And then he had to take him down in order to win that fight by decision because he was being outstruck, which he didn't expect, and you could tell he didn't expect it. It's kind of a weird transitionary stage where I feel like 145, 155, and even 170, and right now, 185 with Yoel and Souza and Whitaker having the belt, I feel like those divisions are way more exciting, and 205 is still as boring as ever. Not as ever. It used to be the only real division in the UFC other than heavyweight. And now we've got heavyweight that has Francis Ngannou, so we finally have a heavyweight championship that people are really, really stoked on. Alistair Overeem versus Stipe was great, but it's not going to sell anywhere near as many tickets as freaking Stipe versus Ngannou is. Mm-hmm. Which is weird because casuals picked up on Ngannou pretty quick, and which is not maybe just because he's a heavyweight, you think?
No, because he looks like a freak of nature.
You
watch his if you look at him from what was it, 4 or 5 years ago, that where he looks like Alistair-esque when he was fighting 185 or 205, whatever the hell he was fighting at, and then he got to become a humongous individual. He's huge.
He's gigantic.
So the big thing with the Lesnar versus Overeem selling so well is it's all the poster. You look at these 2 behemoths, they look like they could destroy the world. It just has that feel to it, and Ngannou fits the same build because the fighters that have been coming out for heavyweight, they've been around the 230, 240 range. They've come in light. And there's another guy that's in the 260s now, and he's just cut to shreds.
He's a monster. He's an absolute monster. And this is the first heavyweight fight. I was excited for Alistair versus Stipe just because with heavyweights, it's always a puncher's chance. But this is probably the first heavyweight fight since probably Kane versus Brock, or even Kane versus Brock, or Alistair versus Brock, that I'm really excited for.
Kane versus Junior, I was really jazzed about 1 and 2. I liked both of those fights.
But those are 6 years ago now?
Well, after the Lesnar Velasquez fight.
Yeah, I was in Korea for that. That was 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Sheesh. But this one, I'm not, I guess, overly excited for it. I'm not I was gonna watch it even if
you're not Overeem excited for it.
Overeem excited for it. No, it's good. It's just we all know you don't have a ton of love for the heavyweights, but I'm gonna watch it. It's gonna be delightful.
It is gonna be delightful.
It's a nice. So I like what Bellator is doing with the heavyweight Grand Prix thing, and but this is a good contrast to it, where it is 2 guys at the peak of the. We all know either of those guys are beating anybody in that one, but that one's just fun because it's a different format.
They already have beat most of those guys. Fedor was beat by Verdum. Roy Nelson has been beat by anyone in the top 5. Matt Mitrione hasn't beat anyone in the UFC for a long period of time. Who else we got? Ryan Bader's a 205er. Rampage is a 205er that can't make it back to 205 anymore, and he lost his last several fights in the UFC as well. All of those dudes, they're washed up UFC fighters, which is fine. Well, Ryan Bader definitely isn't. He was still probably pretty close to his prime. He went over there because he wanted a belt and he wanted sponsorship money. You can't do it for forever. They're also talking about Cub Swanson. His contract just ended. And they're talking about where he is in his career, and he's going to want to be able to take care of his daughter. There's a good chance that he's going to go over to Bellator, compete, and potentially win a belt in that division against the Limas and the Emmanuel Sanchez's, those type of guys.
Yeah, Lima's too high. Like, he's 170, right?
There's a Lima in every single division over there. There's Diego Lima, and then there's
Bell Lima. That's what they're going to start calling Bellator.
Lima. Because someone else mentioned it on Twitter, because someone said Emmanuel Sanchez first, and then they mentioned one of the Limas. Or lemurs, depending. They might have been confused.
Bring in lemurs.
Because
they might.
Small.
They don't put it past them. They might bring in lemurs.
Yeah, I mean, if they stack on top of each other, they make a 135-pound person. But with sponsorships and everything, there's a good chance that he could make more over in Bellator than he does in the UFC. He takes a big name over there. Cub Swanson came over from the WEC, and he was one of the big names that people were excited to see from the WEC. So they may watch him in Bellator because he's a fun fighter to watch, just like Ryan Bader. It's not a Phil Davis, It's not, it's a Roy McDonald type where it's like, hey, this is going to be interesting to watch because he's going to actually go out there to win rather than to just wrestle people. So
I like him there.
In where he is in his career, he'll probably never get a shot at the belt. He might as well go get money.
I don't think it's that hard to get a belt in that or to get a fight for the belt in that division. I just don't think he's winning it.
No, and not against Max Holloway. But he's going to have to fight one or two more fights to get there. And Max Holloway is going to have already beat potentially Frankie Edgar, and Ortega. I mean, so Frankie Edgar and Ortega both beat Cub pretty handily. Either of those guys beat Max Holloway, Cub Swanson most likely isn't getting a shot.
Maybe. Depends on how he wins.
Yeah. I mean,
would you have said that Robbie Lawler was ever going to get the belt after he came back? Would you have said that about...
I think I made a couple of Cinderella Man jokes that it would be funny to see Robbie Lawler make a tear in that division and get a shot at the title. I didn't think it was going to happen.
And then hold the belt for as long as he did?
He won, like 4 fights in a row with the belt?
I just never expected with the kind of fights he was putting together, as we've again talked about just at length here. It's one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in MMA.
It's crazy to me that you can fight 4 fights in a row, and everybody that hits really hard hits you, and you don't go down. And then Tyrone Woodley comes in, just like Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo has been hit hard, really hard before. He went in against Conor. Conor clipped him, and he was done. And then Max Holloway as well. Like, it's very interesting to see those guys that have these wars with really hard hitting guys, and then there's just the one dude that just hits them right, and boom, they're done. It's super like RDA and Eddie Alvarez. RDA hadn't really gone down before either. He may have, but on the top of my head, the only one I can remember knocking him out was Alvarez, and a lot of people had hit RDA pretty hard, and Alvarez just happened to be the one that clipped him on the defense.
I don't know if Woodley's a clipping kind of scenario for Lawler, though. He hits harder than all those guys.
He's a big 170, and his base is gigantic. Well, he's a short 170, but his legs are like 170 pounds apiece. Woodley's legs are gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird to think, though, that most of these guys, who did I see the other day? It was a 185er, and they're standing next to somebody that was a normal-sized dude. And I think he was like 5'9", 5'10", and I'm 6'2", which is really weird to think that most of these guys that are UFC champions are shorter than I am at,
It was weird to me. I said one of the 135ers is my height. And I'm like, I don't think I could get down there.
That's crazy.
And then you still have like 170ers that are like 5'9" too.
Yeah.
It's weird that just the body styles. But are you excited for this fight at all?
RDA versus Lawler? I don't like RDA at all.
It's a good fight to watch then.
I never have. RDA is going to try and take him. I don't think RDA tries to strike with him. I don't think RDA's got the wrestling prowess, and he could, to take him down. But I don't think RDA is going to want to just stand and bang. I don't. I hope he does. It's a much more entertaining fight. But this fight is much more important for RDA to win than it is for Lawler to win.
Lawler's just taking a bunch of 155 fights, and I like it because his brain needs to calm the hell down.
He's fighting all the fighters that are coming up into that division.
Mm-hmm.
RDA's big. I mean, he was a big 155er. He's a decent sized 170. I mean, Cerrone looked just slightly smaller than Lawler when they fought. You know, I never thought that Cerrone was that big. And so RDA has to win this fight. Lawler doesn't. Lawler loses this fight by decision. I don't think if he does, they'll put him up against someone else. He makes money. Lawler sells. RDA doesn't. And RDA wants a belt. He's one of those, like, I don't want to sell fights. I'm a martial artist that wants to fight for belts. That's all I care about.
At 170, you think you're going to get a shot, though?
Oh, no, he's got a couple fights left. But if he loses to Lawler, he's in a weird limbo, right? He can't go back down to 155.
I agree with you 100%. Like, that's a tough place to put yourself in if you're just saying, I just want the belt. Like, you've got to do something spectacular at 170. You've got to do better than Cerrone. And Cerrone put together how many wins at 170?
3 or 4. But
and then
he
they
lost
were good ones.
But he lost to Jorge Masvidal, and then he lost.
I understand,
to,
and then he lost then. But I bet the run that he went on without getting a shot, like he buried Rick Story with an amazing combo.
Yeah, but Story was like number 12 at the time.
What does that have to do with anything? He was beating 170ers handedly, in very good fashion. Like, the point is, RDA's got to do something like that. So to want the belt, you've got to do something spectacular, and I don't think he has it in him. I don't think he's a 170.
Is this his first fight at 170?
No, I don't think so.
I just clicked on his name, and then I went back to Donald Cerrone to see what his last run was.
I mean, like, I don't care about Cerrone's like record other than just to show like he was doing amazing at 170. He beat Matt Brown, he beat Rick Story with amazing combos, and even he didn't get a title fight. You know, it's like
Alex Oliveira, but that was not at 170. Patrick
yes, it was.
It was? Oh yeah, because they both were out of.
That was his first one because it was and he didn't make weight. Oliveira didn't make weight, right?
Patrick Cote, Rick Story, Matt Brown. That was it. But he head kicked Matt Brown. I remember that. That was awesome. Then he lost to Jorge Masvidal. He lost to Robbie Lawler, and I don't think he actually lost.
And he lost to Till.
And then he got knocked out by Till.
And again, like that. The point is not that. The point isn't that.
So only three. It was only 3 fights, but he had head kicked Matt Brown.
But the point is, he had spectacular. Well, and Rick Story.
Yeah. Rick Story was like the
Dragon Ball Z.
Super Saiyan.
Yeah. So the point is he put together some pretty spectacular wins, and he didn't sniff the belt, and he did better at 170 than I think RDA will. RDA is not getting a title shot at 170. No. He's not doing it.
Oh no, not then. He'd have to.
That's the thing. He'd have to put an amazing run together. He doesn't have it in him.
Let him fight Matt Brown. So he lost. RDA lost Eddie Alvarez. He lost to Tony Ferguson. He beat Tarek Saffiedine, and he beat Neil Magny. I don't remember him beating Neil Magny. Arm triangle choke. Interesting. I just really dislike RDA. He's by far one of my least favorite fighters. But I mean, it doesn't matter. He is who he is, and he kind of knows, and he plays that part now. You want to know what I remember the most about the Darren Till Donald Cerrone fight? Mike Perry's interview afterwards, where he was like, "That wasn't the Cowboy. That might have been Donald Cerrone, but that wasn't the Cowboy. He'll come back better. That wasn't him."
Mike Perry's good interview.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it was funny that he was like, with how disrespectful he is to so many people, he's talking about Donald Cerrone, and he was like, "No, that wasn't Cerrone." Like,
at the end of the day, I mean, Cerrone's always going to be respected. He'll go out and fight anybody at any time.
Yeah. No, yeah, I know that's exactly right, and most people do have a ton of respect for him. Ponzinibbio, man, you got it pulled up on your phone by chance? I just closed it out. I think he's on like a 4-fight win streak.
He beat Court, right?
Yeah, he outstruck Court. We got it right here. Let's look it up, and then we'll finish it out. Ricardo Lamas, man, he's got to beat Josh Everett. He's one of those guys like Cub Swanson that is a perennial contender that beats everybody but Edgar, Holloway, and Aldo. Ponzinibbio beat Gunnar Nelson. Performance of the night. He beat Nordine Talib. He beat Zach Cummings. He beat Court McGee. His last loss was Lorenz Larkin in 2015. And he also lost to Ryan LaFleur, but Ryan LaFleur is a high-class wrestler, so he probably just out-wrestled him. So, I mean, you beat Gunnar Nelson. You've got my attention. I remember watching that. And
You're top 5 in Justin's book. You beat Gunnar Nelson.
That's exactly right.
Nope.
I think Gunnar Nelson's one of the best fighters in the UFC.
He's not.
I think he is.
He's not.
Put him against Mike Perry. Yeah, takes him
stars.
down.
You're trying to get the man killed. Calm down.
No, man, I'll just take him down.
Trying to get him killed.
Just take him down. What else we got here? Glover Teixeira. I don't know who his. Oh, Misha Serkinov. I think he lost his last one, but Oh, Desmer. So he was undefeated as well, and then Desmer knocked him out cold.
Don't trust Russian records.
Nope. Well, yeah, because he fought the Hulk guy first, and then he fought another Russian. He did beat Alex Nicholson, though, who was the guy that was making racist comments in Mike Perry's corner. So there's that. I'm actually really excited for Cannonier versus Blachowicz, except for the fact that Cannonier's already lost to Glover Teixeira, which kind of shows where he fits into the 205 division. Julian Marquez came in from Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. He was supposed to...
Was it the Noir version?
Noir version. What are you talking about?
1920s Noir?
Noir, yeah. That's exactly what it is. He just needs a nice little cigarette and a cap, and his collar's popped up. He was actually supposed to lose. He came in and dominated. So this is his first fight in the actual UFC. Tim Elliott's always a good time. Whether win or lose, it's always some kind of crazy BJJ grappling match. So that'll be exciting to see. It'll be an exciting
It's a good
fight.
free card. It's a way good free card.
Oh, it's free?
Yeah.
Is it on Fox?
I think, Fox Sports. I think.
Fox.
It's on Fox.
It's on Fox. Lawler's last card was on Fox, wasn't it?
It's a good card.
Their contract ends this year, right?
I have no idea.
I think so. I think they're shopping around right now for their next TV contract. So this card doing well.
Yeah, because especially
It's
if
a big
Disney's
deal.
picking up Fox, there's no way in hell they're renewing that contract.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they're still trying to buy content for their other stuff, right? They're trying to buy Warner Brothers or something like that. Not buy Warner Brothers, but rights to their licenses so they can put them on their streaming app.
Who?
Disney. Disney's going to have a streaming app.
Makes sense.
Well, that way they don't have to give rights to all their Disney movies to Netflix or Hulu. They can force everyone and their kids.
Well, they own Hulu.
Disney owns Hulu?
Part of it. Them, Universal, and Fox all own part of it.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
That's
Makes
why I don't
sense why
understand
all
why-
of those TV shows are on there.
That doesn't make sense to me why, for that very reason, I don't understand why they're doing their own streaming service. Unless they're they're marketing it towards just kids. That would make sense to me, but...
You want to hear something sickening?
Sure.
Ryan's Family Review, which is a kid's YouTube channel, made $11 million from like June 2016 to June 2017.
What's sickening about that?
It's just crazy. Well, I mean, it's a
You're just saying it's
kids YouTube, not sickening. I mean, it's just crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Those are absolutely crazy numbers, especially for a kid's
I didn't know if they were
YouTube channel.
exploiting the kids or
No,
something.
well,
I
I
was
mean-
like, is this Daddy of 5?
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's showing their kids on YouTube, I feel, is exploiting them a little bit, but
Everybody's been doing it in Hollywood for years, though.
that's true. I mean,
Which I'm not that's not to say
they're not condoning it,
but it's just the medium's changed now at this point, and you can do it from home.
yeah, it's a little weird to me. Well, and the weirdest thing with kids channels like that, those kids have to go to their parents and be like, I want this, but their parents aren't watching those channels, and so they're not. When people advertise with those channels or give them sponsorships, there's a good chance that someone that has money to purchase their product isn't even watching it. And so, to me, people could be throwing away money on sponsorships for some kids' channels because kids are watching them and not remembering what product was in there that they want their parents to buy. So, but apparently my 3-year-old niece watches Ryan's Toy Review every single day. It's just crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. Anything else?
We did it. We made it to Ryan's Toy Review.
We made it
That
all
was
the way
the
through
goal.
MMA to back to Ryan's.
That was the goal.
We are now advertiser friendly.
Did we do it?
Yeah.
I said shit.
No. Because we talked about kids' channels, so we can throw it on there.
Yeah, Blink got shit.
I will.
Now you have to do it 3 times.
Shit. Shit. Thank you guys for tuning in. I like you lots.
Bye.
Bye.